I was always my mother's baby, and she was always my savior. I came out of my mother's womb completely anxiety-ridden. And that anxiety grew the older I got. By the time I was 8, I developed a phone phobia that was caused by repeated phone calls from a very abusive relative who would call and threaten all of us on the phone. I was so freaked out, I just couldn't fathom answering the phone anymore, so my mom basically gave me permission not to. So I didn't for 3 years. As I got older, my anxiety grew. I started having problems at school. By the time I hit 6th grade, they wanted to hold me back. I had behavioral issues that would now be called ADD, but back then there was no diagnosis for ADD. And so my mom fought for me. She wrote letters to the teachers. She put me into some summer school, and then found a school that would embrace me and bring me in and treat me as someone who could learn and grow. Then as I got into my late teens and early 20s, my anxiety turned into a very suicidal depression, which grew and grew to the point where I had to be hospitalized multiple times. But my mother never left my side, and she supported me and was my champion all through my recovery. Around 2007, 2007, I got diagnosed with a large tumor behind my right eye that required a major surgery. And I couldn't work before or after my surgery. My mom, again, came to my side. She moved in with me, she took care of me, and she told me not to worry about anything, that she would take care of everything. And I was comforted by that, except for the fact that around that time, I started to notice that my mom was having some behavioral issues of her own. As I was coming out of mine, as she was starting to have issues that I couldn't quite explain, my brother and I both started to notice that she was becoming a little bit more aggressive, a little cantankerous, a little more controlling, argumentative. And so eventually, I was sitting in my apartment one day, which belongs to my mom, and a phone call came out of the blue. It was a stranger who said, "You don't know me, but I know your mother. She owes me a great deal of money, and I want to collect that money, and your apartment is in foreclosure." And I freaked out. My anxiety went through the roof, and I called my mom immediately, and I said, "What's going on? Who is this person?" And she said, "He's lying to you. I told him never to call you. There is no foreclosure, there's no problem, there's no lien on the property, there's no problem." And a large part of me just wanted to believe that, because she had always taken care of everything. But that wasn't the truth. We were in foreclosure. But we wouldn't learn for some time that that was true. And then, not long after that, my brother called me out of the blue and said, "Mom just tried to kill me with the car." And he told me that my mom was in the car and that she was driving towards him while she was waving and smiling, and as if she wanted to come say hello, but didn't realize that she was in a vehicle. So he was screaming, "Stop, stop, stop," and she was smiling and driving. And, my brother is not a saint, but he doesn't deserve to be mowed down by my mom's car. So we talked about it later, and we were saying, "What do you think was going on there?" And we realized that she may not have been aware of the fact that she was in her car, and that she didn't realize where it ended and she began. Or a few months after that, she totaled her car in an accident. So no more car. And so we wound up going into foreclosure conferences with my mom. And this was taking a tremendous toll on her. And she was clearly declining very rapidly. But we still didn't know what was wrong with Mom. And there was discussion about getting a psych evaluation or maybe taking power of attorney, but my brother actually did not want to go down that route because he was afraid of infantilizing her. So I deferred to my brother. And one weekend she came to stay with me, and she came because there was a friend who was performing at Symphony Space, and she wanted to go up there to see her friend perform. She got up there in the bus, she got off at the wrong stop, and then got completely lost, and she didn't know where she was. She hopped in a cab, and it turned out she was only a block away from the theater, and that frightened her, and it was the first time I think she really felt that there was something going on. The next day, I put her on a train, Penn Station, to send her back home to Long Island, to the North Fork, and I called my brother and I said, make sure that you were there at the other end waiting for her because Mom got lost and I'm worried and you need to go get her. So that was the plan. I took my mom, I put her on the train, and off she went. I went home, was really enjoying the solitude of my apartment and the quiet, and all of a sudden the phone rang. It was probably about 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, and it was my mother. And she said, I got off at the wrong stop. I don't know where I am. It's dark, it's late, there's no one on the platform. I don't know what to do. And I said, hang on, Mom. And she said, but wait, there's a man at the end of the platform. I see a man at the end I'm gonna go ask him what I should do. And before I could even say, okay, I'm right here, I'm gonna hang on, her phone shut. And I was left, even knowing that she had hung up, I couldn't stop from saying, Mom, 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 Mom. But she wasn't there. So I tried calling her over and over again, and there was no response. I called my brother. He called her over and over again, and there was no response. And there wouldn't be a response again for 2 hours. 2 hours later, the phone rang. And I said, where are you? What happened? And she said, hi, I'm fine. Met this wonderful man. He's great. I went to their house. I met his wife. He's got wonderful kids. They fed me. I'm coming back to Penn Station, and he's going to put me on the train, and he's going to tell you where to find me, because I can't get back to Southall tonight. I've got to come back into the city. So I get on the phone with this nice man, and he says, everything's fine. Your mom is fine. She got lost. We took care of her. I'm going to put her on this front car, and you're going to come down and meet her at this particular spot. It was like exit 18. And I said, I'll be there. And my heart was racing, and all I could think of was, I've got to get my mother. I've got to get my mother. So I went down into the subway, and it was very murky, like it was as if I was going through the womb. It was like, you know, all this feeling of coming into an unknown space, because I knew that something enormous had changed. So as I was waiting for my mother down at the platform, and all these people were flooding out of the train, and I was looking at all these strange faces, and I was thinking, somewhere in here is my mom. Where's my mom? And she emerged up, and she looked at me, and she just said, well, hi there. And I grabbed her, and I pulled her into me, and I could feel my cheek against her cheek. And I thought, this is what it's like to lose a child. I don't have children, and I just thought, this must be what it's like. And I buried my face into her coat, and I was smelling her smell and taking her in. And I realized that nothing would be the same from that point. So the next morning, I explained to her that we were going to go and sign power of attorney papers. And that's what we did. I took her in the morning. And it was the first time she was able to just relinquish control and say, okay. I think she realized she had hit the end of her ability to cover everything up. And now my mom is very childlike. She's very sweet. She's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And she's my baby now. At the end of that journey with that nice man on the train, she wound up baking for him and sending him a box of cookies. And they've still remained friendly to this day.